Hello, everybody. Welcome to Train Tuesday. Hope everybody's doing okay today. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me. We're having trouble with this microphone today, so give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. We were having some trouble with the microphone earlier, so. All right. All right, so today we've got Sean, we've got Angela, we've got John, we got KC, we got Joseph. What else have we got here today? We got David and Elijah saying we need some more CN. Kevin says yes. Oh, good, because this microphone was really on the fritz earlier in the studio. Christian says hello. Hello, Christian. Who's trying to make me hungry? Thought I saw nachos. Somebody said nachos. Joel, of course, Joel. How's it going, Joel? Sean, Gerhard, Mark, John, Frederick, Ricky, Sean, Rocky Mountain Train Show. Hello from Colorado. We got Terry LaFrance. We got Chris, Rick, Zach, John, and Owen. Joel Ashcroft wants to know. Well, you guys know what Joel wants, besides nachos. Probably not today. Oh, let's see. We have another Jim coming from my neck of the woods in Massachusetts saying we need more Conrail. We need more Conrail. We got Bill coming in from Minnesota. Jeremy asking for chimichangas. That's not a bad thing. Angela's asking for BN. Well, tomorrow is St. Patty's Day, so. All right, Anthony from California, welcome aboard. Trains FF says we need some Caltrain. Bob, more Erie Lackawanna. Joe, all right. So we got a pretty good crew here today. I got all kinds of stuff to talk to you guys about today. I'm going to fix my microphone here since it was giving me trouble earlier. So hopefully you guys have been busy. Hopefully you guys remembered to set your clocks forward. Otherwise, you don't know if you're coming or going. You don't know if you're late or you're early. So hopefully you all did that. It definitely helps in the layout room when, all the clocks are in the right order. So, and of course, we're probably kind of catching up on our sleep and stuff. So I've got some really neat stuff to talk about today, and hopefully you guys are going to like it. We've got some ready to run offerings to talk about today. First thing we're going to talk about is the ready to run 40-foot modernized box cars. Now, if you're somebody in the transition era, you probably don't care too much about that. And if you're a modern guy, probably not. But for the guys that are modeling the 1970s, specifically mid to late 1970s, these are for you. So let's go ahead. And James, is my mic working? I see your comment out there. Buy Train so you can get a new mic. Hopefully it's still working for you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I want to show you these box cars that we're offering. And like I said, these are the 40-foot modernized box cars. All right. Joel says he's got two waiting for him. I mean, we came out with some really cool paint schemes on these. So let's take a look at what we're offering, and then we're going to talk a little bit about them and go into detail and why somebody from the 70s is going to be interested in these. So what I'm going to do is like what I always do. I'm going to zoom in. You guys can still hear me, right? So here we go. Let me switch screens so I can see and talk to you guys about these a little bit. I'm going to zoom in too, just a little bit. All right, so these are the 40-foot modernized box cars. What does that mean exactly? Well, by 1968, the Federal Rail Administration had mandated the removal of roof walks on most cars, including the 40-foot boxcar like we have here. That was mainly due to, safety regulations and things of that nature. You know, in the old days when these things were, before they had the air brakes, they literally had a brakeman that would walk from car to car to turn the brakes to slow the train down. Well, by the 1960s, that wasn't exactly needed anymore. So, so basically, what the FRA did was, remove those roof walks. So let me go back. I want to double check that there. And let's see. So we've simulated these without the roof walks. Spotting features on these too. Another spotting feature is you'll notice that the ladders on the sides, they've been cut down. Now, depending on when and where the cars were used, the FRA, like I said, in 1968, had them remove the roof walks. There was about a 10-year window or a grace period that they could do that. So within those 10 years, they were either retired, scrapped, or they were further updated. So right after that, the FRA, had the roof walk removed. The other thing they did was they mandated that the brake wheel, which was at the top, be moved down to the midsection, because again, you don't really need that roof walk. You don't really need that brake all the way up there. So if you're, switching off a spur or a siding somewhere, somebody can get onto the ladders, the grabs, and just go up a few rungs and turn that brake wheel and lock it in place. No more going all the way up to the top. No reason to anymore. Now I've got some pictures I want to share with you too, but we'll go through these quick. I mean, we're doing the Southern Pacific. This is a 1970s era. We're offering it in 2 different road numbers, and pretty much all of these are available in a 3-pack. The 3-pack is going to have obviously different road numbers than the singles. So you basically have the opportunity to get 5 unique cars as far as road numbers. The Rock Island, this paint scheme right here, 1970s. This was kind of a transition paint scheme for the Rock. This was long before their blue paint scheme. They were doing these paint schemes probably around 68 or so. And then the North Stratford Railroad. I wonder how many of you guys out there have heard of the North Stratford Railroad. You know what? I know it's early. I know you guys have just got on here, but I'm gonna do the shout out for this today. What industry? It was only one industry. Did the North Stratford Railroad serve? So I'm going to try to watch the comments. So go ahead and throw it out there. Very short line. Very popular in the 70s. And then, of course, the Louisville and Nashville, the Missouri, Kansas, and Texas. And, of course, we can't do 70s without a Penn Central. All right, I just saw the answer here. And Jay, no, Christian, you're close. Actually, Jay got it. It's furniture. It was the Ethan Allen Furniture Factory in upstate, almost on the border of Vermont, New Hampshire. And yes, I know that because I'm from New Hampshire. So when I saw that we were doing those, I think I've already pre-ordered these. Just don't tell anybody. All right, so the first picture I want to show you is that Southern Pacific car that we showed at the beginning. I've actually got one. Tony Cook sent it to me. I'm going to remove this. And Tony Cook from White River found a really cool picture in the Kevin Udaly collection. And here we go. So yes, they did exist. All right, so like I was saying, this one here, you can definitely tell it's the 1970s. There's a lot of dead giveaways to it. This was taken in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania back in July 2nd, 1972. You can see the roof walks have been removed. If you look real carefully, you can see that the rungs have been cut down. The ladder's been cut down. It does not extend to the top anymore. So that would be pretty common for your layout, you know, say early 70s. And you got to remember too, when the FRA did the mandate, it didn't happen right overnight. I mean, some cars they did, some of the shops did it themselves. Sometimes too, if you look in some of the old books, you'll see that you can see where the roof walk was. Some of the hardware is still up there in those pictures. Now, you don't really see too many 40-footers anymore, although once in a while I did catch a former Norfolk and Western 40-footer being used as a maintenance away piece. It's kind of neat. It was still in its original Norfolk and Western paint. Didn't do that this time. Maybe next time we'll do that. So going on next, we've got what we talked about earlier, the North Stratford Railroad, complete with the state logo of Live Free or Die. A little bit of homage there to Daniel Webster. These cars were produced in 1947. They came from literally all over New England, a different lineage. But you can see that they've modernized these too. Now, if you take particular note, you'll see this. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but you see this yellow dot. This yellow dot with the black box around it. A lot of people don't know what that is, and this was real common late 70s. Basically, many of the cars from this era had this yellow dot with a black box for a particular reason. In 1978, there was a series of derailments that were traced back to a set of wheel sets. They were 33-inch wheel sets that were defective. So subsequently, an inspection program throughout all of North American railroads was started, and cars that were inspected that needed wheel sets replaced were given a white circle superimposed by the black square. However, that basically meant if it had the white circle, black square, that meant that the car had to have its wheel sets replaced by December 31st of 1978. Now, one of the interesting things to note about that is if it was not going to go outside the railroad, in this case, the North Stratford Railroad, if it wasn't going to interchange with the Boston to Maine or Vermont Railway or something of that nature, it could stay that way. They still wanted the wheels replaced, though. Now, and in this situation, they had some grace period. But if that car was going to go or interchange with any other railroad outside of its system, it had to be inspected. It had to have the correct wheel sets. So cars that receive the yellow circle with a black square means they pass the inspection. They can be used throughout the whole system. Now, these were called U1 inspection marks. And they actually applied these to new cars that were being built at the time, right up until December 31st, 1978. So if you've ever, seen some of our cars and wondered what that little circle was, that's basically what that means. Yellow circle, black background. It's good to go interchange with other railroads, and wheel sets are good. White, means that those wheel sets are going to have to be replaced at some time. So just a little bit of interesting modeling trivia / history for you. The other thing too is you still will see this on old box cars even now. Obviously not as common. It was only using a small window, but it was pretty cool. I had to include the Penn Central car because I know there's a lot of Penn Central / Conrail guys out there. Now, somebody at Jim was asking earlier, he's like, man, we need more Conrail. Well, yeah, absolutely we do. So what do? You order this car and you get some black in your airbrush or spray can, whatever works best for you. Do a little bit of masking, and that's all that Conrail did. It's one of those things where it's real easy to turn this into a Conrail box car. A lot of these did not last long in this jade color that they had. All right, and I think I've got another picture for you, and this one is based on the GM&O. So let me see what I've got here. So this one here, this is very much like the one that we're offering. This is a Gulf Mobile in Ohio. boxcar. Original run of these 40 footers were built in about 1947, actually. And this was in 1967. It received some modernization, and it received this brighter red. The color of the book and the lighting when I took this picture don't really do it justice, but it was a nice red color with the GM&O wings. GM&O has a connection here to the offices in Illinois because GM&O was right up the road in Bloomington, Illinois. And so kind of a neat car we decided to do. Typically, these were the older style brown with just block lettering, or I've seen these cars done in a similar style, but more of a green, not the red. And it definitely pinpoints this to 1967, 1968. The one that we're offering is a little bit further along in the 70s. So you'll want to, if you're an IC guy and you're doing the 1970s, you're going to want to definitely pick up some of these. A lot of these lasted throughout the 70s in their original paint, maybe with some patching that's been done to them. But other than that, it's pretty much what you would see 67 all the way up to about 78 or so. Now, just for reference reasons, I got all this information from one of my books, and let's see if I can find it here real quick to show you guys. Let's see. So this is the book that I use. These are a lot like the books that the Athearn guys in development use. This is a Morning Sun book, and this is specifically for Illinois Central, Gulf Mobile, and Ohio. Covers everything from coaches, maintenance away, boxcars, and that's where that boxcar was found. Now, if you're curious about that, I'll bring this back up onto the screen here, and I'll give you a screenshot. There's the actual book itself by James Kincaid, and I can't tell you how valuable these books are if you're modeling. If you're modeling a specific time, place, or region, these come in extremely handy. The last thing you want to do is have an operating session and your guys come over and say, hey, wait a minute, why do you have this boxcar on your layout and you're set in 68, but this is a 1970s vintage boxcar. So it's impossible to know everything. And so this is a go-to reference. And it's just a great reference piece. I've got many books like this just for this purpose. So definitely. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and see if anybody's got any comments or questions on the modernized 40-foot boxcars. Now, of course, I'm real excited about it because I modeled in the 1970s. I modeled pretty much from 1975 on to 1980 or so. And the 40-foot boxcar, the 1970s was a cool era to model. You had 40-foot boxcars that have been modernized, and they had some pretty cool paint schemes. You had the Lend-Lease program going on with the FMC boxcars. I mean, it was pretty cool. It was pretty colorful, really. And you got to see all kinds of different equipment. And of course, with all the mergers that happened in the early part of that decade, you had all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I saw a comment out there. Somebody was asking about the live free or die motto. Yeah, it is pretty awesome. It's my Jeep, my Railfan Jeep is still technically registered in the state of New Hampshire, and all of our plates in New Hampshire say live free or die. Yeah. So it's one of those, it's kind of like the Missouri, logo about show me state type of thing. So it's pretty cool. And SB Scotty, you are exactly right. There's no such thing as too many train books. You can't see it because it's off camera, but right here is just a small selection of my library. And, what's better than having a nice weekend, getting ready to work on the layout, and maybe a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and, reading one of your favorite railroad books. And I know I've got a lot on the CV&Q, Boston and Man, as well as some other cool books. And it's just a great thing. Even if you're not into custom painting, that's where I got a lot of mine for, was custom painting. But even if you're not into custom painting, maybe you want to do some weathering on a certain locomotive that you picked up, or some freight equipment. You want to justify why you're getting that freight equipment. If you're not doing a freelance type layout, if you are doing a freelance type layout, maybe you want to make it more realistic by choosing the right vehicles, choosing the right rolling stock, locomotives, things of that nature. And the other thing too is if you're into weathering, which we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit, really great resource to get some weathering done too. All right, I'm kind of looking through there. And let's see what else we got here. Pepsi, please. Yeah, we didn't have any 40-foot Pepsi cars. Couldn't do that this time. Delta Nices. Yeah, I start many a day that way. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It was kind of nice to spend some time in the layout room this past weekend. And all right, well, it looks like most of the guys are pretty excited about the 40-foot modernized box cars. We're going to kind of stay in the same era, but we're going to go to trucks instead. We're not going to, I don't mean the trucks that the box cars ride on. I mean the actual trucks. Now, for you guys that model anything that's agricultural, or maybe the Midwest, anything like that, you're going to need a grain truck. You're going to need a stake truck. You're going to need all these types of things. Everything from your farm scene to your grain elevator. I know a lot of guys in like the Alberta region of Canada, they do a lot of grain modeling. A lot of guys in the Midwest do a lot of grain modeling. So I'm going to show you what we're offering this month. So this month we're showing off the stake bed truck, but check out what we're doing a little bit different this time. We are doing these in railroad. Now, somebody said, Jim, I think it was Jim was asking, hey, we need more Conrail. Okay, well, we got a Conrail for you here. We'll look at it here in a second. But we're doing these as basically maintenance trucks for the railroad. We've got Union Pacific. We got the Denver, Rio Grande Western, Milwaukee Road, Baltimore and Ohio, Chicago Northwestern, Canadian National, and I'll zoom down there a little bit for everybody that likes Conrail. We're doing them in Conrail too. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, what would a railroad do with a stake truck? Well, there's a lot of things that a railroad can do with a stake truck. Now, a little bit of history on this particular model. The Athearn model was based on a 1968 Ford 8F50. Now, Ford built these as Class 8 trucks from 1958 to 1969, and they were available on both a single or a tandem axle from the factory. A lot of these trucks are produced, and original owners say the railroads here, they would use them for carrying on any types of tanks, propane tanks, heavy industrial type tools, anything of that nature. These are big trucks. You can see I've got one grain version here beside me, but it's the same chassis. And so these would work great if you've got a maintenance away area in your yard. You can definitely use these. Something else that you can do is maybe you don't need one for a railroad. Maybe you're modeling later in the 70s or 80s, and you're thinking, man, I could still use a stake truck, but I don't really need it to be Union Pacific. Well, that's easy. I mean, a lot of these trucks would end up, for sale in the newspaper back then. Craigslist still had a few years ago. And, a lot of people bought these, and they could be used for anything from some type of transport company, maybe a farm, anything of that nature. So even though they've got a railroad logo on them, with a little bit of alcohol, you can actually take those logos off, maybe kind of weather them out a little bit, and they'd be perfect for any type of industrial or farming scene. So, and I'm going to move in a little bit closer so you guys can see these. Let me zoom in on these top guys here. And we've basically followed the protocol of the vehicles that were used as maintenance vehicles at that time. The Union Pacific, of course, and its armor yellow, Denver and Rio Grande Western and white. They didn't really do a lot of flashy colors with these vehicles back then. I mean, they were for safety reasons. They were usually painted a yellow, a white, or an orange I know Burlington Northern was kind of different. They would actually paint some of their trucks and vans Cascade green, but that was kind of the exception, not exactly the rule. Milwaukee Road, we're offering that. I know there's some Milwaukee Road fans out there. Baltimore and Ohio in that safety yellow. Same with Chicago Northwestern. Canadian National, we did a little bit different. We kind of went with that olive green that they had on their equipment for so long. And then remember I was talking about the Burlington Northern earlier. Conrail was different. I can speak from experience. Conrail, especially with their maintenance vehicles, they would run the gamut. They could be white, they could be yellow, they could be blue. It could have been based on what was the best deal or what the budgetary concerns were at the time of ordering. Now, typically the railroads would have ordered these straight through Ford, through not necessarily just a dealership per se, but they would actually order these straight from the manufacturer, in this case Ford. And these trucks would last for generations. It's not uncommon to see these trucks, at least here in Illinois, still on the road. As long as they've been maintained, they will keep on running. So, you know, they're 1968 models, but railroads would use those right up until at least the mid 80s. It wasn't until the 90s they started really going away on the railroads. And then at that point, they found secondary lives on farms and different companies and such. So it's a really neat truck to put on your layout. It's something that you can use it for any type of detailing on your layout. Even if you've got a modular club layout like a Fremo setup, these are perfect for that. They're very nicely detailed. They got a nice interior. The other thing too that you might not know is they're not painted like super glossy shiny. They're kind of a matte finish, which actually looks better, you know, on the finished product, because based on your size, I mean, you don't want a super gloss finish on these trucks. So anyways, these are going to be available. You've got until the end of the month to order these up with your favorite dealer, and we'll be doing more as we go on. These are just some of the most requested road names for maintenance trucks that we got. So we wanted to go ahead and take care of you guys. And then follow up, we'll probably do some more in different roads. So stay tuned for that. But again, got till the end of the month to talk to your dealer about these 40-foot box cars and the 850 stake bed trucks. And let me tell you something. The next one that we're going to talk about a little bit later, you can see I've got something off to my side here. These trucks, they don't last long. They come into our DC or distribution center. They go out to the dealers, and that's the end of it. And I've missed out on some of these trucks. So definitely, if it interests you, if it fits your layout and your time span, definitely pre-order one of these. All right, so that's what we've got today about new stuff. We wanted to talk about ready to run. We've had a great ready to run the last 2 weeks. We've had some great offerings. Next week, we're going to talk about Roundhouse. We've got some really cool Roundhouse stuff coming up. And of course, don't think N-Scale guys, I've forgotten you. We've always got a little bit of something for the N-Scale guys. So let me look at my notes here and see what else we got going on. I know we've got some really cool changes going on here. Let me go to this next slide here. If you missed our program last week, you probably missed out that there's been some changes here at Athearn, and we're pretty excited about these changes. Basically, we're going to be moving our base of operations for service and customer service to Central Illinois. So let me go ahead and get that slide up here. All right. So we posted this on our Facebook page last week, and yeah, basically what we've got going on is a couple of different things. We found it would be better to move our base of operations as far as service and customer service to Illinois. That way it's a central location. It's also our main distribution point for all the products. And if you've been reading the news, watching the news, you'll know that COVID has just not been kind to the state of California. COVID has really hit hard. I know you guys are probably getting tired of me saying it, but you know, that's the facts. We've got our developers out there, and we've got some other employees out there that see it on a day-to-day basis. Now they work remotely, and we figured, you know what, it's probably going to be better to just bring everything into a central location, and this is going to help you guys out. The turnaround time once we get this established is going to be a lot easier on everybody involved. It'll be a lot quicker. Now, one thing I do want to stress to you guys is, you know, bear in mind that we are moving all of our service parts to Illinois, so it's going to take a little bit. I'll read you basically our press release on this. Starting May 1st, 2021, we will relocate our customer service and repair operations to our primary product distribution location here in Illinois. This consolidation will provide additional support to our Athearn customers and provide a single point of shipment for Athearn products, parts, and service, and other related items. Now, you guys can still reach customer service, and we'll be putting this out online again here soon if you haven't seen it, but we do have a customer service number that we have listed, and we've also got the same email address. So that's still going to be the same. It's just how we serve you is going to be a little bit different. And in the end, we're really looking forward to, you know, cutting your wait times down and things of that nature. COVID has really changed a lot of things in the last year. And this one, in the end, once everything is transitioned over, I think it's going to be great. So just give us a little bit of patience while we move all those parts to Central Illinois, and we get that all taken care of. And we'll be ready to help you guys out. So the other thing I want to talk about, Delta 9, you just said audio. Am I cutting out? Give me a thumbs up or something in the comments if my microphone is cutting out. Sometimes when I share screens like that, the microphone will cut out. All right, looks like we're good. All right. So last week and last few weeks, we've been talking about this. This is exciting. And I know you guys are probably busy working on your Prime for Grime. So, yeah, as we discussed with James a couple of weeks ago, we've got selected certain box cars in our Prime for Grime series that you can order from your dealer, or if your dealer already has them in stock, you just pick them up at the store. Go home, get some good information, you know, kind of like that book I showed you earlier, and do us a favor. Take a picture of the box car as, you know, as it is out of the box. We need to have that for proof. And then when you're done weathering it, do like what James did. He did a really cool picture here. This box car spotted at its industry, and take a good picture of it. Now, good lighting is essential with anything like this that's been weathered and kind of in a dark environment. If you can, maybe you could put it on a module and take a picture outside. Basically, what we want to see is we want to see your modeling skills. We want to see if you can fool us into thinking that Athearn freight car is you know, the real thing. So it looks like, I've got some comments I'm going to throw up here. Let's see, Thomas. Prime for Grime. I pick up my car and have started the attack. Fun contest. All right, Thomas, thanks for joining us. I can't wait to see your submission. I'm going to go ahead and put in here, just in case you don't remember, I'll show the website in a minute so that you guys can actually see it. That's the actual email address for all the details. The address you're going to want to ship these pictures to, Athearn-contest@horizonhobby.com. So yeah, thanks for you know, checking this out. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to take all the contest submissions. We're going to go look through them. A couple of things we're going to do. We're going to put them on our social media. You're going to get to, you know, have some bragging rights with your guys. Next time you go to the club meeting, say, hey guys, look, my Prime for Grime box car, it's right here. That's always fun to do. And maybe that'll encourage your buddies to get in on the action. Now, there's going to be 2 runners up chosen. 2 runners up will be chosen. and you will be given a freight car. The grand prize winner, the one that just knocks our socks off, the one that just, well, the one that makes me think I got to get a tetanus shot. Okay, that person that wins, you win a Genesis locomotive, and we've got a choice of 2 different locomotives, and it's detailed on our website. And you get to be on the show with Train Tuesday with myself and maybe James, because we want to know what you did. We want to know how you did to fool us into thinking that was a real freight car. So anyways, let's see. I've got a question up here, and I want to make sure. Let's see. That's a great question, so I'm going to throw it up there. Chase says, hey, you may have answered it last week, but can you re-letter it in addition to weathering it? Yeah, absolutely. You can re-letter it if it's a former boxcar for another company and you want to make it for your fictitious railroad or the real railroad. Definitely, by all means. If you want to put graffiti on it, you can put graffiti on it. Basically, you want it to look like what you would see at any rail yard in the country or any industry spur. So definitely, great question, by the way. All right, I'm trying to see if there's any other questions on that. I don't think it's an obscure Genesis locomotive, Terry. It's one's a Conrail and one is the GP7 chop nose. So you know what? Let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, and let's go for a virtual ride. I want to make sure I've got. Yeah, here we go. So you're thinking about this contest, and you're going to want to take a look at it. So let's go there right now. That way, you know what we're talking about. So we're going to go to Athearn Trains. You see this Prime for Grime contest? There you go. Everything you need to know about this contest, how long it runs, what cars are eligible. You can see down here, there's a list of cars that are eligible. I'll go ahead and zoom in on that if I can. Can't really zoom in on it. But we've got about 4 different cars that you can choose from. Now, the reason why we did this, I've explained it before, there's 2 reasons. One, these aren't super new cars. They're not super old cars. They're not cars that have been in our GC for a while. We wanted to give you the option to pick from the most common cars right now, meaning that most of these cars are still on dealer shelves. We still have a few in our own DC, so if your dealer does not have one of those cars in stock, he can place an order with the sales rep and get it to you. So and let's see, let's answer that question on the locomotives too. Okay, so you would have a choice as the grand prize winner of either the GP7U with DCC and sound or the GP38-2 with DCC and sound. So it wasn't Conrail, I'm sorry. So either one of those, and of course those are Prime for Grime. So yeah, they're lettered for a specific railroad, but you won the Prime for Grime contest. I'm assuming you could probably handle changing it somewhat. So make it fun, make it for what it is. If you don't think it's that fun, it's either A, not for you, or you don't have the skills for it. Try it out. Don't knock it until you try it type of thing. It's a lot of fun. I mean, nobody wants to go to how many times have you gone to a really nice layout? I mean, everything is just perfect. And what kills it every time? A shiny freight car. I've seen some really great modeling out there, and really one of the things that does it is when you see things like you would in the real world, dirty, banged up, those box cars, they didn't stay pretty for very long. Even the locomotives don't stay pretty for long. So go ahead and try this contest out. All right, I'm going to look at some comments here and see if there's any questions on that. I'm leaving that email address up for you a little bit. Looks like there's some guys working on some stuff. So good. Yeah, I definitely want to see. I know in the next few weeks we'll start seeing some of your contest entries come in. And again, I mean, either you like it or you don't. If you don't like it, well, don't participate. We've got more contests coming down the road that maybe you might enjoy. But you know, use your creativity. Make it look good. And then of course James. You remember James was here a couple of weeks ago. He's got some videos on his YouTube channel over at Hybrid Hobby, basically showing you how to do this. If you've never done weathering before, watch his video on weathering. It's really simple. Don't be intimidated by it by any stretch of the imagination. All right, so last week we had some great announcements of stuff coming in. One of the really highly anticipated announcement of the year was the SD60Ms. I had to bring the Cascade Green one in because I think I've told you guys before, when I first moved here, BNSF was using these like crazy, and the Cascade Green, some patched, some were not. I moved here in '97, so some of these were not patched. So with that being said, I think I got some cool eye candy here for you. Now, literally Train Tuesday ended on a Tuesday, and I think Wednesday night, the SD60Ms showed up in our DC, our distribution center. And they're hot. They're going fast. If you pre-ordered one, you got nothing to worry about. If you pre-ordered one, then you've got all you got to do is go see your dealer. If you did not pre-order one and you're seeing what your buddies have been saying about it, and you really like it, I suggest you go to your dealer now and pick one of these up. They're getting some great reviews, and Glenn, I like your comment. Jim, everyone knows that the BN scheme was the best. It was pretty cool. There's probably some guys out there who'll disagree with us, but yeah, I'll go with that, Glenn. So like I said, these came into stock just right after Train Tuesday last week. So last week I had showed the same picture and it said, these are coming soon. But no, they're in stock right now. If you did not pre-order one, I highly recommend that you order one now from your dealer, because they are going quickly. We've already started running out of the Canadian National versions, and I believe Norfolk Southern is starting to run out too. So definitely don't want to miss out. I know my Cascade Green is going to be coming here pretty soon. Now, speaking of Norfolk Southern, we were talking about the Norfolk Southern. Derek over at DG Modelworks, he's done some reviews for us in the past, and I knew it was kind of a little bit outside of his era. He's more of a modern guy, but who wouldn't want an SD60M? So I went ahead and sent an SD60M for him to review, and I'm going to go ahead and share his review here real quick so you guys get a chance to see what he's been working on his layout. And let's see. So this is Derek at DG Modelworks, and he's reviewing the SD60M. His review is brand new. It just came up yesterday. I've got the sound off just so that it isn't interrupting us. But go ahead and go over to DG Modelworks and check out his review. He did a really nice review of this Norfolk Southern SD60M. There's a couple of things that a lot of guys are asking about in the weeks leading up to this release of the locomotive. Yes, it does have rotating bearing caps. However, as you'll see in his review, remember some of these little details, they get jostled in shipping. If one is missing in your box, or actually on your truck frame, look in the box. They usually just pop out. It shouldn't be an issue. The other thing too that a lot of folks were concerned about is in the previous run, the center window wasn't exactly correct. And happy to say that the guys in development really did their homework. They did some work with EMD and getting the correct drawings together, And so now that window is correct. It's definitely a much better locomotive. And with the Genesis 2.0, I'll let Derek talk about it in his review. So like I said, it's over at DJ Modelworks, and he's just put that review up. If you watch our social media, we'll be sharing his review about 6 o'clock Central Time. So if you've been on the fence, if you've been thinking about the ST60M, especially if you're a Norfolk Southern fan, check out his review. We're also going to have, you remember, James. He's going to be reviewing the Union Pacific version, and we're also going to have some input from our friend up north. Ben at BA Rail Systems is going to be doing a review on the Canadian Pacific version. So that way you've got all coasts covered. And for the BN fans out there, don't worry. I'll probably get the Cascade Green ones here too. So check out those reviews in the next few days. Derek's is going to be up right now. It'll be shared this afternoon about 6 o'clock Central. And be looking for James and Ben for their reviews, respectively, later throughout the week. All right, I've got something else to share with you. You probably noticed this too. And we were talking about the F850s earlier, the grain trucks. Well, I wanted to tell you these are in stock. And, well, I mean, nobody can see this, right? It's too tiny. Let me get a picture up so you guys can actually see it. We remove this, and here we go. I'm kind of partial to this color. It's kind of a cool color. All right, there we go. So yeah, here it is. This is the grain truck, the 1968 Ford F850 grain truck. And again, we've got one color variation left in DC, but if you go to your hobby shop now, your dealer now, he might have these. And I highly suggest if you do any type of agricultural stuff on your HO layout, then you're going to need to pick one of these up. Now, the funny thing is some of you guys might be thinking, well, it's 1968. I model 1980, or I model, 1993, or I model today. That's okay. I can tell you, living only a few hundred feet from a grain elevator here in rural central Illinois, these are still on the road. In fact, if you're a fan like me of old trucks, of all makes and models, fall's a great time to see these old trucks get back on the road. And these 68 F850s are still, still going to the grain elevator, still getting the job done. So, if you model the late 60s, early 70s, you can leave it bright and shiny like this. If you model later on, just weather that up a little bit. So, all right. Well, that's all I've got for news for you today. I told you it was going to be a busy show. And again, if you're on the fence on these, I would pick them up now because, like I said, we're sold out in our DC except for one color. So talk to your dealer. Seeing some good comments out there about this. All right, I'm going to remove this because you know what time it is. It's time to do some virtual rail fanning. And let's see. Last week I should have done horseshoe this week, especially with Derek's nice review of the Norfolk Southern. But I think since here in central Illinois, winter kind of came back, I think I want to go somewhere warm. So let's go. Can't promise you there's going to be a lot of traffic. But let's go to New Mexico. Well, look at that. We got a train. Blow that screen up so y'all can see it. There we go. And let's see. Sean 18, he says, James, I got a question. Perfect timing. Go ahead, Sean, shoot your question, and I will do my best to answer it for you. Yeah, we got some action going on here, which is nice. Last time we didn't see as much in New Mexico. All right, let me see. Let me go through here. Ian, all right, I'm going to grab you. You got a long question. I'm going to put it up here for everybody to see. I wonder what railroad he's not happy with right now. I see your Pan Am in there. Hey, Jim, do you know if Athearn will be making a fantasy painted Main Central GP40-2 and GP40-2Ws in the Main Central Harvest Gold paint scheme? Wow. Well, I don't know of anything on the tip of the radar right now. As you know, Ian, fantasy paint schemes are rather polarizing. We've got one set of modelers that really like them. They're pretty cool. I mean, remember we did the fantasy ES44s. And then there's some other guys that, that's just not their thing. And so with that being said, we'll still do our what we call our legendary liveries. We're not going to do a lot of them, but we will do some collectible / legendary liveries in the future. Those particular ones I don't know. Now my comment to you, Ian, would be to go ahead and go to our website, go to contact us, and there's a model suggestion email. Go ahead and use that and put that in there. And again, if we get enough comments and questions, suggestions on a certain locomotive, certain paint scheme, certain road numbers, things of that nature, we will do it. Okay. Today's the day for comfort cabs. Let's see what we got here. Brad. Complete the trifecta of CN GMD comfort cabs. Goodness. You make the GP38-2W and the GP40-2L /2W. We need to have a high quality ST40-2W. Brad, you got some good comments. And I'm going to tell you the same thing I told Ian. If you haven't yet, please go to our website and go to that email. I know you guys are like, why does he keep saying that? Well, again, it's kind of like a voting system. You know, if a bunch of guys say, hey, we want this certain locomotive and this paint scheme, and they fill that mailbox up with that, and that's probably going to be what we're going to produce next. We want to produce what you guys want. All right. Oh, here's a good one. Let's see. Nick, you're asking about any update on the Amtrak Genesis P42s. Yes, they are due in June. And I haven't had a chance. I know Amtrak, I'll put his, for you guys that don't know, we announced the Genesis P42s last early summer, June. But today Amtrak is talking about new heritage paint schemes. I haven't had a chance to look at them yet, but I think we all need to take a look at them and see, hey, is there something that we could do on the P42s in the future? So definitely, I haven't had a chance to look at them yet. I just found out about them probably a couple hours before putting together the show here. But definitely, that could be a future run if we get enough requests. If you see something that you like, definitely. And as far as the P42 models themselves coming in, yeah, they're, as far as I know, they're still on track to be here on time. So, all right, let's see what else we've got. And while I'm looking, I'm going to take a drink of water here because it's extremely dry here today. I apologize. Let's see. Main Central must be the railroad of the day. Zach wants to know, speaking of Main Central, any chance of another run of Main Central Harvest Gold 50-foot FMC or Berwick boxcars? Yeah, I'm trying to remember when those were run last. It's been a while. Yeah, that's a good comment, good suggestion. You know what I'm going to say. I'm going to plug that email again. But definitely do that because they're not going to listen to me. I'm biased, remember? No, that's a good comment, good suggestion. I would definitely forward that onto the suggestion email. Somebody too was asking, is like, do I just keep putting the same email into the suggestion box? No, the spam filter will catch it after a while. So no, it's good. It's just a one vote type of thing. All right, what else have we got? We got some good questions coming in. Yeah, there's somebody else wanting FMC box cars. I mean, I'm kind of partial to those because I model the 70s in both HO. Well, HO, not so much, but N scale, I definitely do. Long guy, I'm going to go ahead and put your question up here because it's kind of an interesting question. He said, my pre-order for the 40-foot containers never came in. Was the demand higher than anticipated? You might want to check with your dealer. Sometimes the dealer might have missed that window. It's possible. I mean, running a shop is learning how to do 40 different things at once, and things like that can happen. We try to help our dealers out as much as possible, but to answer your second part, the demand was extremely high, and that's a good reason for pre-order. But I would talk to your dealer and see if there was something wrong on his end. Was it something that he missed the date? Maybe a request got forgotten about, something of that nature. Generally, though, when I would tell you the end of the month, which in this case the 26th, and you need to get to your dealer by that time. The 26th is when he's got to order. He's got to place all those orders. If he misses it, we can't always guarantee if we can fulfill it. So it's just a good reason to order earlier than later and not have that happen. Okay, I'm seeing some other. Brad's got a weekly request. Let's put up Brad's weekly request. Where's Brad? The weekly request for the CN GP9 RMs and CP GP9Us. I know you used the email. I know you did. And again, I'm right there with you on those. I got a soft spot for those Jeeps and those roads. Okay. Matt's actually got a good comment for the gentleman that asked about the 40-foot containers. Yeah, call around some of the other hobby shops and check. You can also check with some of the larger online retailers. Most times, those dealers will order more. They'll order for anybody that pre-orders, but they also order for stock because in normal situations, they go to train shows and things of that nature too. So there's a good idea, Matt. Thanks for bringing that up and helping Jonathan there. Let's see. I saw a couple of different ones. We can't have a Train Tuesday without a Amtrak California Cars desire, wants, and needs. I gotcha. Rocky Fanatic 68. Can you put those farm trucks on trains? Well, sure you could. In fact, last week we talked about a book from Kalmbach Publishing, and it talks about flat cars, container cars, trailer on flat car. There's some really cool pictures in there of how the heavier equipment is tied down to different flat cars. So sure, was it common? Probably not as common, but I'm sure it was done. There's usually a prototype for just about anything. Let's see. Getting a lot of East Coast questions / comments. How are my West Coast guys doing? Any West Coast guys out there got some questions? We see the California Cars request. Yep, I got you, Patrick. Let me see. Got some pretty good requests on some different trailers. Might work in the future. Here's a good question. I'll put him up. Darth Walls 1. Are there any plans for CSX CW44 AC YN2 paint scheme? I don't know of any plans of it. It doesn't mean they're not going to do it. The guys in development have been so busy lately that I haven't had a chance to really bug them too much. Usually, though, they'll send me some information, but immediately I'd say no, nothing that I know of. Now, if it's something that you really want, again, use that email as your tool. A request for Grand Trunk SD 40-2s, please. Interesting. Let's see. Here's an interesting question. Let's see if I can find it again. I got distracted by that wire moving in the wind there. Frederick, he wants to know, why did the SD60M come in the old Genesis boxes, not new ones? Well, we figured that you'd probably want to spend your money on the train, not the box. It sounds silly. It sounds funny. But yeah, it's one of those things where when that particular release was manufactured at the factory, we're looking at the box, it's like, yeah, we'll just go ahead and send them in, because the box is mainly functional. Let's admit, I mean, this is the eye candy right here, not the box. So it still has the same protective, foam and clamshell and everything else. So now we spent all of our energy on the locomotive itself, and if you check out the reviews, I think you'll be glad we did. I see somebody like, where's Janik? Janik is buried under a sea of plastic pellets, 3D CAD drawings, and a Commodore 64 he rescued from a dumpster outside a dark neighborhood. He's developing. He is extremely busy, and but that doesn't mean you won't see him again. We'll have Janik on at some point. Don't worry. George says, hey, Jim, we really do need Santa Fe Red and Silver GP60Ms and Bs. We really do. We really, really, really do. That's a great suggestion. And I'm not going to argue with you. I think a lot of people would agree with you on that. You know where I'm going with this, right? Use the email, definitely. Let's see. Got a couple of questions here. Oh, I see what you're saying. Anthony. Jim, have you considered going back to the old Genesis clamshell packaging from 2006 to 2010? The foam inserts are a pain. I'm sorry to hear that, Anthony. We're always trying to make things better for everything from production to you as the end customer. If that's something that bothers you, thanks for letting us know. We're continually not just developing the things that you see here, but we're always working on our clamshells. We're working on the boxes and things of that nature. So I can't say that you're going to see a change right away, but we do have people working on stuff that are going to try to make it easier for everybody involved. But thanks for that question/comment. We do see those comments, and yeah, we're always trying to make things easier for everybody. Let's see. Let me see what else we've got. Sometimes it's hard to choose because you guys have really good questions. Now I see some guys out there asking for parts, and if you're late coming to the program, we're kind of in that transition phase right now. My best, suggestion to you is to wait until we're fully ramped up and running here in Champaign. Things are kind of, we're not at a standstill. We're still taking care of warranties and things of that nature. But for like spare parts and things of that nature, it'd probably be best just to give us a little bit of time, let us transition, and then we can help you out there. And the same protocols that we've had in place still work. Now, if you really want that part, you can go ahead and contact our customer service staff. They're still replying to phone calls and emails. But just keep in mind that because the nature of everything that's in kind of transition right now, things are going to take longer. So as long as you've got that, in the back of your head that it's taking a little bit longer for us to find these parts and get back to you, by all means, use the system that we have in place for you. Frederick, any steam locomotives coming out for pre-order? Well, I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to bug the guys in development. It's a good question. We haven't done anything steam related in a while. So, yeah, I guess we're going to have to see. Terry says, isn't U of I in Champaign? Technically Urbana. Something else famous was made in Urbana. You guys want another shout out quiz? It's not quite train related, but it is related to Champaign, Urbana. What famous piece of computer technology was made in Urbana, Illinois? It's from a very famous movie. I'll see if somebody gets it. Every once in a while, I have to throw a movie reference in there. Think back. I think the movie came out the same year as the truck that we were talking about earlier. Let's see. We got a nice stack train going through. So actually, New Mexico was busier than I thought it was going to be. That's nice. There we go. Tom was listening. HAL 9000. I'm sorry, Tom. I just can't do that right now. Yep, that's right. He was made in Urbana, Illinois. So, yeah. Oh, let's see. Yep, HAL 9000. Yeah, I like reading the comments about Champaign, Urbana, Illinois. The nice thing, though, is if you look at a map, it's pretty much smack in the middle of the United States, which is why it's going to be so much nicer for you guys, because it's from a central location. It's not from one coast or the other. It's right in the middle. And I can tell you, one of the reasons why I moved to Illinois years ago was because transportation-wise, there's so much coming and going in this state. So if you like rail fanning and things of that nature, it's not a bad state to check out some rail fanning in. Let me see. Looks like I had some more questions up here. I'm going to go through the... Yeah, Dave, not that kind of champagne. I thought I saw Milwaukee Road comment or question. Okay, Fred. Are there any Milwaukee Road locos in the works? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, we had the pre-orders January. If you missed those, the FP45s, we had those if I remember right. Trying to think. Not off the top of my head, but that is actually a popular road that gets requested. So keep your eyes open on our social media and Train Tuesdays and our monthly announcements. It's definitely one that we get a lot of requests for. Kurt, I'll put your question up there. Is this just the start of moving all of Atherton, Illinois. Well, as far as moving the parts into service, yeah, we just started this, and it's a monumental task because there's so much that has to be organized and everything else. So yeah, now our development and stuff, they're still in California. Development and a lot of the day-to-day operations is still done in California. This is just for service and repair. And then I saw another question right after Kurt's. Thomas. It's an interesting question. I want to put it up there. Any future thoughts on putting cameras in the locomotives for remote operations? Now, you might laugh, but don't. Because if you don't know this, there are guys now, and it's really taken off since the pandemic. There are guys that are doing operating sessions remotely. And it's kind of neat. So if you had a camera actually in the cab or something of that nature, it might be more of a novelty than it would be an actual, operating feature. But I think I see where you're going with that. It could be cool. Now, will we be doing that? I don't know right now if that is something that we could do. Perhaps in the future. 30 years ago, did we ever think we would have the sound effects and the details that we have in our Genesis units now? Probably not. But interesting question. Thanks for asking that. Let's see. No, you're looking for some Ohio Central GP anything. You're looking for 4-axle. And you're right. We did announce those SDs earlier. If you got a small layout, definitely 6-axle can be kind of hard. If it's a point-to-point layout, it's not too bad. But if you've got some tight radius curves, then or you're using it for industrial switching or something of that nature, or Jeep would probably work better. I don't know of anything off the top of my head. That was a railroad that was requested. So it's possible you might see that again in the future. I don't know of anything in the near future, though. But thanks for your question. Delta 9 kind of commenting on the camera thing. He's like, our train room is 2 floors down. Camera could be fun. Yeah, it could be. As you guys know, we're part of Horizon, and they do RC, and they do a lot of RC now, both aircraft and cars, and its point of view with a camera inside the vehicle. And that's pretty cool. The flying one kind of gets me a little sick. I've tried it a few times. It's a little weird. It definitely is disorientating at first. Yeah, you never know. The way operations is going, especially since COVID, we've had a lot of people doing remote operations. And if you haven't seen it, just do a search after watching this video on YouTube. And there's remote operating sessions where people can actually operate the equipment. You could have a guy set up in Nebraska and there's somebody in England that's operating the layout. It's pretty cool how they do that. Let's see, a lot of requests for different locomotives and cars. Most of those could go to the email. I'm trying to see if there's something that... Yeah, West Virginia Rail. I'll put you up there just in case somebody missed it. We talked about it briefly earlier, but yes, you're right. Amtrak has new heritage units and new paint schemes coming out. So I haven't even had a chance to look at them yet. I found out about it like this afternoon while I was getting the show ready. Yeah, it should be interesting. And again, I mean, if you see those heritage paint schemes, if it's something that we can do in a future run of P42s, by all means, put that in our suggestion. Thomas has got a good question. We were talking about the operations earlier. He says, Jim, I know you use DCC on your own layout, but have you connected Wi-Fi for using cell phone throttle apps or the proto throttle? That's a great question. So right now, both my N scale and the HO scale layout, which you guys still haven't seen yet, they are DCC, and I'm using the NCE system. And the goal is eventually to put in a interface so I can use JRMI. And I do have throttle on my smartphone. When I'm in New England at my train club in Concord, New Hampshire, that's what they use. We all use our Androids and our iPhones to control the layout. Here at home, that is eventually the plan, and you're going to see a lot of guys doing that in the future. It's pretty cool, especially when you go to an operating session and you already got your throttle; it's in your pocket. You just get on their Wi-Fi and you're ready to go. Thomas, perhaps what we'll do is we'll talk about that more in the future. For those that are new to the program, I've been talking about a project layout for the last few months. I finally got to the point where there's actually track down on the layout, and soon I hope to share that layout with you guys when we show new product. It'll be a little bit more interesting than just see it in a white background picture. And Winona, it is Athern. That's how they pronounce it. I know growing up as a kid on the East Coast, I wasn't quite sure how it's pronounced either, but our development guys in California, they always say Athern. Let's see. We've got time for maybe a couple of more pictures and a couple of more questions, not pictures. I must be getting tired. See, that time change gets me every time. A couple of more questions, and then we'll pull the pin on this day. Let me see. There was a great question here. I'm looking off to the side. See what we got. Some good comments on the Wi-Fi throttles. Here we go. Yes, this is a great question, Nick. I'm going to put it up there for you. Any plans for Athern to go to any train shows in person this year? We have our first one at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds on May 1st. It is sold out, over 200 vendors. Man, I'll have to look that up. I did not know about that particular show. So there's a couple of shows that we're planning on going to coming up this summer. In July, we're going to be going to Spring Creek up in Deschler, Nebraska. Spring Creek does an open house every other year. It's a great open house. One that I've personally wanted to go to for years, and we're going to be there. We're going to have a setup there, and hopefully if the weather warms up here, I'll have an interesting interactive display for you guys to look at and actually operate. And then we're also going to be at the St. Louis RPM meet. Now, if you've never been to an RPM meet and you want to get into scale prototypical modeling, I highly suggest getting in touch with a local RPM organization. The RPM meet in St. Louis has been going on for a little over 10 years now. Obviously, we didn't get to go last year because of COVID, but we are planning on coming back this year, and both of those shows are in July. We are also still planning on doing Train Fest in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I think we're slowly transitioning back to what we're used to. And man, it'll be nice to actually see you guys in person and not just a little icon in the corner of the screen. Yes, Rocky Mountain Train Show, maybe 2022. I've heard that they are planning on doing that show in person next year. So definitely. All right. Any other questions before we call it a night? Seeing a lot of good comments on, if you're reading the comments like I am, some really good comments on the different ways to operate the layout remotely. And like I said, check it out on YouTube. I mean, YouTube can be that rabbit hole. There's so many cool things on model railroading out there. Oh, this is interesting. I'm going to put it up there just because, Thomas, this is cool. I've been to some virtual train shows, but not a virtual RPM. Twin Cities Division just held a virtual RPM meet this past weekend, over 90 models on display via a slideshow. Now, Thomas, was that kept on YouTube? Did they archive it on YouTube? So I know a lot of the virtual train shows, they'll do that. But yeah, that'd be kind of neat to see that. Jonathan, I see your questions on some short lines for Canadian. Definitely you and your friend need to go to our contact us page and select the product suggestion. Those are great suggestions. And if we get enough folks like you to submit that, it's possible that you'll get to see one of those. Here's a man after my own heart. Jim, I bought an Athearn CB&Q ES44 DC, and I love it. Well, thanks, CJ. I'm glad you like it. I commend you on your choice of road. I am a CB&Q convert since moving to Illinois. I still follow BNSF, but CB&Q is just a classy railroad. It really was. And yeah, the ES44 and CB&Q colors, it's kind of what he's talking about is our legendary liveries. And it's, what if the merger never happened? What if March 1970, they just kept on being their own separate railroads? We kind of answered it there for you. So I'm glad you like it, CJ. Thanks for that comment. And I'm going to do one more. And Thomas answered my question. I'll put it up here for you guys. You guys are in the process of putting up the clinics and model displays on YouTube. By all means, I mean, it's a great, I mean, one thing that COVID has taught us is there's so much information out there. And fortunately, it's at our fingertips, either on our computer or our smart device. So definitely. Rick, he's saying, Amherst Train Show 2022 is being planned. I like to hear that. I love the Amherst show. It's always good to go out there and reconnect with some folks. All right. Jack, I think I've got one more question, Jackie. I would like to see some 1950s and 60s Ellen cabooses. Okay. Are you wanting them in the Genesis line? Are you wanting them in Roundhouse, ready to run? Do you have a preference? Maybe you don't have a preference. Maybe you just want those particular. Yeah, let us know. Let us know at our email. So, all right, guys. Well, I want to thank y'all for coming in today. And looks like we had a pretty good day. We had some rail fanning going on. We've got a guy on an ATV spinning by just to say goodbye. And we got two guys. Want to thank y'all for coming in today and joining me for all the new stuff that we're talking about. Again, everything you saw today as far as the 40-foot modernized box cars and the stake bed trucks, you've got till the end of the month to order those. So that's going to be March 26th. So try to get to your dealer sooner if you want to get those in. I know I've already ordered my 40-foot box cars because I don't want to miss out on my state cars. But we'll be doing this again next Tuesday, same time as always. And want to thank you all for coming. Be happy, be healthy, do some good modeling, do something good for somebody. Until I see you next week, we're going to pull the pin on this episode. Hi, Greens, everybody.